Hey, everybody. Welcome to the TEConnect podcast. I'm John Martin.
And I'm Dean Reverman.
Dean, we regularly talk about things like supply shortages.
Yes.
Stock shortages.
Yes.
Chip
It
shortages.
seems to be quite the discussion these days.
Unfortunately. Everybody's dealing with it, unfortunately.
Yes.
But I also know everyone's frustrated with it.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what doesn't have to worry about supply, boats stuck at sea.
Pray tell, please.
Or labor shortages.
What,
Services.
Sir? Services, that's right.
You can typically offer services without having to be concerned about it. You don't have to stock a service. It's
That's
not
right.
a stockable commodity.
Well, if you can get the people to work.
Well, that's okay. Okay, we don't talk about that. All right.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm just saying that services can potentially be sold at any time.
Yes, that's a really good point.
Assuming you have the people to actually do them for you.
There you go.
So that's kind of our topic today. We're going to talk about upselling services.
Good.
And how, good services can be used to get out there and do something. Maybe if you can't supply your folks with what they really want and need right now, maybe you can offer some services to them instead. We've got Andy Scherz from Epson coming back. He's joining us again on the podcast. We had him on last year. Part two. We're going to talk about what services mean to him and to Epson. We're going to get into how services fit into this whole idea of being a full service solution provider.
Right.
What's the benefit to them and to their customers?
Yep.
We'll walk through what it's like, what the process might be like to upsell a service. Like, what should you be talking about? What should you be asking? What should you be saying? And we'll talk a little bit about how Epson helps out.
Can I make a bold statement?
Too. Sure.
If you're not getting into services and things of that nature, you're going to die.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
that was a very bold
that was
statement.
really bold or, in order to maintain
it's
your
business. It's a little morbid,
In order to maintain your business, you got to start doing some of these kinds of things.
There you go. All right. So you better listen up or apparently you die at the end of this podcast. It's time to plug in and get connected.
Welcome to the TEConnect podcast. It's time to get connected.
All right, as I mentioned, our guest today, returning guest, Andy Scherz from Epson. He is a senior product manager. Andy, welcome back to the show. You were last year talking with us about color labeling.
Yep.
What have you been up to since, and how's life treating you right now?
Life's going good. We're still busy driving the color labeling business, which is still growing year after year after year. And, and as we place a bigger and bigger install base of consumable printers out there, the consumable sales is just skyrocketing. And I think that ties in with what we're talking about here today, which is install bases are often bigger than whatever you sell new. And that's where you can sell services, right? You get to sell the new printer is the new printer, but services can be sold to the entire install base. And as that grows, that just means that opportunity keeps getting bigger.
I like it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, don't forget about the people that you sold to 2-3 years ago. They're still prime for some of these types of things.
Well, let's be honest. We're in this industry where, especially with technology, technology is made to be longer lasting than ever, more rugged than ever, more, durable than ever.
Yep.
So you might be thinking to yourself, all right, I sold somebody a printer.
Yep.
I'm done.
Yep. No,
I can't do anything with them for like another 6 years when that printer is expected to finally start burning out or something new comes out.
No.
Don't rest on your laurels there. You can still drive some business with your customer.
Yeah.
So let's get into that, Andy. So what does services mean to you and to Epson?
So services, one of the first areas, and it's probably one of the most common areas, is services means basically some sort of extended warranty, on-site service plan, some sort of repair plan. Okay, and this is where probably the lowest hanging fruit, okay? And it's something that I think really should always be considered as part of the sale because, like you say, if you just sell a printer and then you just walk away, well, even if it's a great quality printer, there's a chance it's going to break at some point. And businesses don't like uncertainty, okay? There's some sort of production manager, he's trying to do something, the printer breaks. Who does he call? What does he do? Where's he going to get it fixed? Does he have a budget to get it repaired? Right. So suddenly he's in a scramble because usually these type of assets are mission critical. So it's not like, well, I'll get to it someday. It suddenly becomes the top of his heap. Right. And so a way that can be already handled in advance, sell a service plan that basically just all he has is a phone number. It's already been bought. It's already paid for. There's no sort of such thing as getting a PO approved, anything like this. He just calls up a number and magically his problem goes away. They love this, right? And so I think this is one of the first things that should always be sold with these kind of printers. Any kind of product, really.
Agree wholeheartedly. We talk a lot about it. Customer experience, right? So gone are the days if you're a value-added reseller that's, just walking in and you get the specs of a job and then you come up with the solution, install it, and then, hey, okay, bye, thanks, see you, whatever, in 5 years if you need to do it. Those people are going away. You need to understand that all of your customer experience is important, and that lives on beyond day one. Yeah, it really does. And services is absolutely one of those areas that you can get into if you're not getting into it already today, where you can find some gold nuggets of profitability. There's a nice big word here, because you can do profitable services around that. And I like where you're going already, Andy, in the sense of, kind of making it easy for these end users and customers, because they don't want to worry about some of these things. Once you install the solution, there's an opportunity here to upsell the services, as long as you do it in the correct manner and you're not a sleazy salesperson and all that kind of good stuff. There's a meaningful way to do it. I can remember back in the day, we would devise plans around it, right? people they can buy into plans. They understand this, this amount of service that comes with this, or these kinds of, what goes into the plan and things of that nature. It's a conversation you need to have. It's a part of your business you should build out if you don't have it, but it's an easy conversation to have after the sale, or even during the sale if you want to really kind of add to the overall customer experience. Because at the end of the road, yes, you want to install the solution, but you want it to be a viable solution, at least for the length of the viability of the equipment, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
Well, let's be honest, this kind of hardware that we're talking about, printers, mobile computers, scanners, whatever it is that you're selling, it's critical function type hardware.
Yep.
This isn't the kind of thing where, like, us at home, if, I don't even have any printer, but if I had a printer and it broke, whatever, I'm probably not out anything important. Like, I may not be even using it enough. But for a business, for an enterprise that needs to print, I don't know, let's say 2,000 labels a day, that printer suddenly breaks, and maybe they only have one extra one, and now they can only do half the volume in a day. That's huge for their business. That's right. That's not just about an inconvenience that day and to figure it out and get it fixed or whatever. That's an inconvenience that can lead to money loss. They can lead to profit loss. That's that's the kind of thing you don't want to think about that. You don't have to deal with that aspect of, well, I'll just sort of figure it out. It's great if I know what I can do right now to get this fixed.
Yeah.
What were you going to add there?
No, that's exactly right, because I guess I was thinking about how to sell those things, right? You need to be able to have that kind of a conversation, have some of the data to back behind it, because when you get into the ROI, right? Well, what would it mean to you to have your printer down for X amount of time? And these are the types of things that really kind of sell themselves. The best plans out there are easy to sell because the other party, the end user in this case, understands the value behind them and can attach to that. Do you find that to be true, Andy, when it gets into warranty and services and things like that?
So one thing to think about is, even if I have, I'm a senior guy and I have a great idea, blah, blah, blah. Let's say everybody agreed my idea is great. How long before I can actually get a check cut or an actual PO, right? I'm not going to just get to buy it right day. I don't have my credit card. I can just start hurling around here. So the minute something breaks, it becomes this whole big thing. And maybe let's say something really bad happens. Oh, it's a big expensive repair. Okay. Well, now you're sitting in this weird situation where, we didn't have it covered. It's a big repair. I got to get the money. I got to get authorization. Oh, the so-and-so's on a trip this week, so who's going to approve it? And it becomes this big crisis because they don't have the option of saying, oh, you know what, the printer's down. Let's do plan B. They don't, because if the printer's down, they cannot ship their food without a label on it. They can't ship the boxes. They're not just going to put a bunch of boxes onto the FedEx truck with no labels on them. I mean, basically, everything's stopped. It's not like just the label. That business stopped, right? So it becomes a big scramble. And what we find is we'll sometimes get a desperate call from a customer and like, well, what do we do? And I say, well, do you have a service contract? They say, no. And I say, we didn't even know about such a thing, and they go, if the VAR would have told us about it, we would have bought it for sure. Right. So I think the business market with mission critical assets, they're more than amenable. Perhaps as a home consumer, like he says, maybe I don't even have a printer home, or I have a printer at home. They offer to sell me a service contract. I'm like, nah, I'll figure it out. When it breaks, if it breaks, maybe I buy a new one, or maybe I didn't need one anyways, or something like that. But that's not this market. This is all mission critical assets. And they don't want to have a sudden scramble trying to get themselves back up and running.
That's exactly right.
Yep.
And what we're finding, actually, if I could drill into like extended warranties, again, we talked at the very top here about supply chain issues, and it's serious across the board. It doesn't matter what manufacturer you're talking about. There are supply chain challenges. So as a value-added reseller, one of the ways that you can help to mitigate that is through service plans and or extended warranties, right? Because if you have the product, and let's say they were going to do a refresh, but the product's not available, well, okay, then segue into a conversation around extending the warranty so that if something does go bad, you have a mechanism in place that can help facilitate that. Like I think Epson, you guys have like spare in the air and these types of things that are tied to it that are really designed to help people stay up as much as they can, even when bad things like that happen. So we are seeing a dramatic increase in extended warranty sales, those types of things to keep the assets that are available today running for a little bit longer. Right, Andy?
Yeah, well, it becomes, in a supply chain crunch, it even becomes more critical. So like the little story of my own personal thing, maybe I have a printer at home, it breaks, maybe I can live without it for a while or something like that, buy new. If this is a business critical asset and there's supply shortages, you've got to keep what you have in hand running for sure, right? You need to be able to have somebody that's going to come out there and fix that right away, or spare in the air. But basically, you're going to have to keep what's running, because you may not have the option just to go out and buy new, right? So it becomes, in the supply chain crunch we're in right now, service plans probably becomes more important than ever, actually.
And here's the even better news. From a reseller standpoint, the profitability on these plans is there. It's significant, just because, if they don't use it, which we all hope, right? But seriously, there is a significant amount of profitability there. So, when you think about it from a business perspective, we have a lot of resellers now that, even though this current environment of supply chain crunch is kind of amplifying it, a lot of those that are now getting it into their talk track about service plans and about warranty plans, I guarantee you it's not going away, because people see the value in it, number one. Number two, it's highly profitable. It is a great way to drop margin to your business. Yeah. Right, Andy?
Yeah, well, I'm going to even, when we talk about profitability, let's go back to the old thing in business school, which is the cost to acquire a new customer is so much higher than it is to acquire an existing customer. So understand, if you're a VAR and you just sold somebody a suite of equipment, right? This is your customer. They like you. They bought from you. They are your customer. Okay. You should continue to keep that relationship alive with that customer. Now, maybe you can't sell them new printers or whatever tomorrow, because guess what? They just bought printers. But that doesn't mean you just let them go off into the wild and pray that they're going to come back to you in 5 years when that equipment needs to be refreshed. And the maintenance contract, service contracts, gives you a way to keep that customer relationship alive, right? So they are always seeing you, they're talking with you, and you basically can have an idea of how old the equipment is, and what kind of trouble they're having with it, and then ultimately use that as a lever in to say, you know what, I think now it's time we refresh that equipment. And you've kept that relationship alive that whole time with the service contract.
That's it. Bingo.
Well, and Andy, to your point there also, like, imagine you're in that scenario where you've just said, we don't care. We sold you your stuff. We'll come back whenever you might actually need something from us again. And let's say in the meantime, you didn't sell them that service contract. You didn't, get them any kind of warranty. They have some kind of issue. Maybe they try to reach out to you. Maybe they don't. Maybe there's someone new who's coming who doesn't even have that relationship with you. So they go off and find some other third party to come in and help them out and do some service. Maybe that third party sells hardware also. Mm-hmm. And now suddenly you've lost business, not just because you weren't there, but also because you didn't sell them services. You didn't talk to them about that. You weren't checking in with them regularly in any way. And when it came time that they needed something that wasn't just the actual hardware purchase, they went somewhere else and found somewhere else who now has become their provider for that hardware as well.
That's it. Yeah.
It's just, again, we talk about this, we're basically answering our next question here, which is this idea of, the full solution provider, is that you can't just be, I don't know how many times we're going to talk about this in the show, and maybe until we assume that no one else is doing it anymore. You can't just be the hardware provider. You can't
Right.
just be the software provider. If you're not existing in this ecosystem that we've built in this channel, where even if you're not doing it all, you at least are connected to the people that can help you out, and you get to be the face of the full solution, where someone feels confident thinking you are the guy, you are the gal, you are the people that I want to get back to on a regular basis. Whenever I've got any kind of issue, whatever it is, whether it's a service problem, whether I need new software, whether I'm just spitballing ideas, you want to be the first person that they want to call.
That's it.
And if that's happening, then ideally all this other stuff should be even that much easier to do.
Yeah, I like how Andy kind of started off here in the sense that, you know, it's your existing customers that are sometimes the easiest to sell to. So when you go in there as a solution provider, you're eliminating risk by offering these types of things. You know, service plans and warranty plans. It's easier to talk about it then when there isn't an alarm, but it's also a good idea to kind of paint these scenarios, right? Like, hey, all right, now that we're installed here, let's talk about, you know, how do we keep you up? How do we improve that? How do we eliminate some of the business risks that you might have? You know, what would it cost you? What would it look like if there was a system failure or something like that? I can help mitigate that. You can start working out like guarantees. I can work with you that we can guarantee your uptime through these programs and stuff like that. That's, you know, that's a natural conversation, right? And it feels less salesy. You know,
exactly.
let's have a conversation now about how we keep this
Well, then
going.
let's keep moving down this track,
Yeah.
because that gets us into our next question here, which is this idea of, you know, and Andy, I think you kind of hit on it earlier. We as consumers, as personal consumers, are very immune to the idea of contracts and extended warranties because it gets offered to you everything. I mean,
That's right.
You buy anything on Amazon that's like, you know, relatively technological or expensive. We're like, would you like to sign up for the $50 protection
Power
plan?
adapter. And what? No, I don't
Yeah,
need the
exactly.
$20
And you're
plan.
immediately
Yeah.
going, nope, I don't want that. Moving on. You know, car warranties. We're all used to being. I mean, you know,
Right.
we joke about it all the time. Marco just had a call earlier. You know, we're like, oh, it's somebody trying to sell you an extended car warranty. Like, in our personal lives, we're used to going, no, this, like, we ignore a lot of this stuff
Right.
because we just don't see the value in it necessarily.
Yeah.
But again, we've already talked about the value for, you know, our customers and what they obviously are going to need these for. And we've kind of started going down this path of how you have that conversation. So Andy, I want you to keep elaborating on that. Like, what does it look like to go into somebody and try to upsell these services and talk to them about extended warranties, repair service, protection plans? What does that conversation look like?
Well, so let's just talk about, you know, we have like our again, like we talk about our personal lives, right? We say, no, I don't need an extended warranty on my iPhone charger. Yeah, I got that, you know, or even a printer. You know, I have in my particular household, I have, you know, 4 people that are always having to print things for school or work or stuff like this. And, you know, we think that's quite a bit. The printer has a page counter. I think we've done 6,000 pages or 7,000 pages over the last 3 years. Okay. So that's a lot for my home, but we will have typically in an industrial environment, you know, 2,000 to 6,000 labels a day on a piece of equipment. So you have to understand that this stuff is being used at a level that is so much different than what a consumer level is, right? And so, you know, even the best equipment is going to get its knees a little bit wobbly when it's put under those kind of workloads, right? So it's still going to need attention from time to time like that. So I think a lot of the business customers are actually attuned to that, right? And I think that actually the customer, sometimes, this is my perception, the end customer is actually more receptive to it. And perhaps it's the VAR that's actually thinking, I'm going to try to keep this deal low price so I don't lose the deal, right? And so they're actually foregoing talking about the service only in a false belief that they're trying to, you know, keep the out of pocket small. But I think that they're doing themselves a harm there, because I think the customers are actually more warmed up to it than you think. And I think that more often than not, the customers will actually be very receptive to it. So I think that the VAR has to think that in their mind, that just to take into account where the customer's mindset really is at. They know that they need this, I think.
I agree with that. And when you look at trends of partnering, right, we talk about that, and how do you enable this partnership to occur? You have to have that. You have to present it in these types of manners that, look, I'm more than just selling you this particular solution and walking away. As a business partner to you, let's have these conversations around services and the types of things that we can provide to make sure that your business is operating, at least in these elements that we're helping you with, in the most efficient manner possible, right? Yeah. And I would agree with Andy. If you're having a serious professional conversation about it, they're going to be open to that idea, right? They're not going to be like, oh, well, here we go with the sales guy again,
right.
Trying to, oh, you just tell me the printer now it's a piece of junk and I need one. No, let's talk about, let's have a serious conversation about your business and the fact that, a couple years down the road or whatever, we might need to call on that warranty, right? And if we keep extending it, we're going to be in a much better situation than we were.
Well, it's kind of, because I'm glad we're going down this path also, this idea of, hey, don't be afraid to offer this. Don't be afraid, because this is something we talk about in kind of sales one-on-one sometimes, is this idea that sometimes people are afraid of the close, or they're afraid of adding on, or they're afraid of asking that additional question or offering the additional thing, because just to Andy's point, like they're so scared that you're going to reach that point where somebody goes, nope, I'm done. I'm out. You said too many things and I'm done, and that's not going to be the case. If they simply can't handle it or can't do it or don't have the budget, they're going to tell you, and they're going to stop the conversation there with, at least that part of the conversation. I just can't imagine too many VARs that just go, or they say to them, oh, sorry, we're going to literally just upend all of this conversation, all this time we've spent working together, and walk out the door because you dared to offer something extra to us.
That's right.
I think it's more a matter of getting out of that mindset of, like, again, unlike you in your personal life where you get annoyed when someone's trying to offer you that extra stuff, where you're like, look, I just wanted to click and buy my thing, and now I got to click again and say no to this extended warranty, and then I got to click the thing that pops up and says, are you sure? And then I can buy my thing. That's not what this situation is. No. Again, to Andy's point, they get it. They understand what you're trying to offer. They understand what you're trying to say. It's not you saying like, hey, my products are crap and they're going to fall apart and you need to have protection. It's saying, hey, even the best products, and the highest volume, when you are working so hard with them and working them so hard, something could happen, and I just want to make sure that you're covered there. And to your point, which you've been saying a couple times here, is have a conversation. Just even if someone literally calls you up and says, hey, I got a PO, I need to buy 5 printers, model number XYZ. Any salesperson is going to go, yay!
Yeah. Look at that. It just fell out of the sky.
Right.
Yeah.
But in reality, you should be saying, hey, great. While we're talking, though, can you tell me, like, what do you need these for?
Right.
What's going on in your business right now? Are these replacements? Are these new? Yeah. Tell me a little bit about where you're going to be using them.
Right.
Really? Okay. How many labels a day do you think you're going to be printing? How many receipts are you spitting out every day? Really? Okay. Tell me more about XYZ. And you start going down that path. And not only one, you're telling them, hey, I care about you and your business, not just this PO that you're giving me. But then ideally, what you talk about hopefully leads to those conversations and start selling those services.
That's exactly right. I mean, that's the partnership that we're trying to build here, right?
Yeah.
Along the way. It's really, really critically important. Now, back when I sold for a reseller, I mean, I would use that as ammo against somebody who's not doing that, right? So if you're setting it up, you're being the true good partner. Hey, here's the solution, and here's how we're going to maintain it over time. By the way, do we compare to what your other offers if it was a competitive situation? Right. And if not, well, I'd start selling against that. Well, why aren't they? Why aren't they talking about the long-term viability of this solution? And start raising those questions, because honestly, this is where you want to be. Are there nickel and dimers out there? Absolutely. Are there customers out there that it doesn't matter?
Right.
They just want to buy the lowest price.
Yeah.
And here's a little red flag: run away from those people.
Yeah.
At the end of the road,
they aren't the customers you really want.
That's right, because
they will sell you out in a minute for the lower.
And they're going to call you like, "Hey, this thing's not working," or whatever. Yeah, we talked about that. Whatever. 5 years later, remember?
I told you so. Made that note in your CRM, like offered this up, and they said they only cared about the price.
Yeah. So run away from those people. You're looking for the people that understand the solution, understand what you're trying to build out.
Exactly.
As a partner.
Well, so Andy, how does Epson get involved here? What do you guys do to help VARs sell services? What do you have to offer?
So what we are doing is we still strongly support our VARs, which means that we are not going out overtly, trying to sell service contracts direct, somehow going around them, right? So we are trying to make this a VAR offering and entice them to make profit on the deal and to sell these things along with the whole product, right? So we're basically trying to make this another source of revenue for the VARs, right? And like I talked with, especially on the ColorWorks line of our color inkjet printers, when they sell that printer, they're going to get a revenue stream from the ink. We're trying to also really get them to think about that continuing revenue stream from the service, and done well, they can make more money each year on ink and service than they can on the printer. So this is, if every day you have to go out and fight anew to feed your family, that's different than you've already got this big residual check, so to speak, coming in from an install base, right? So this is what we're trying to motivate the VARs to focus on, and what we do from our side is to try to produce the offerings that they like, and B, quality, right? So obviously that's at the corner of everything, is that you're going to have a quality product. So we're trying to make sure that we have a high quality product and we have the offerings for them. So it's not one size fits all. Some people like the idea of a CETA program, which is our spare in the air kind of an instant overnight exchange. But other people say, no, I need somebody to come on site because we have a critical tagged assets. I can't afford to change my IP address. So we just want to make sure we have the diversity of offering for them. But I think that's the right thing, right? To make the right offering, quality product, and have the VARs make money off of it.
That's it. And don't be afraid of it, right? If you, like, for example, the industry has been talking about monthly recurring revenue. I'm glad you tapped into that a little bit, Andy, in that sense that, look, that is a way to grow your business, to increase the viability. If you're ever going to sell your business, by the way, the best way to do that is to increase the amount of customers that you have that are sending you that monthly check for recurring revenue. I mean, that's kind of where you want to be. This is a great way to have that conversation around that. To build out these types of plans that can guarantee uptimes and things like that. I think Epson does a great job, understanding what their programs are. That's key to it as well, right? You have to understand, well, how is that spare in the air going to work? Or how would the next day exchange work? Those types of things. But as the second you get that acumen down, now you can offer that over to your customers and be in a really, really much better spot. The other thing I like about it is that you're now in tune with the customer, right? Because we all know technology is changing. They're looking for additional solutions. We talk all the time about, hey, got to keep your ear to the ground because maybe they're talking about whatever the next thing is. How are we getting into AI? Or, I hear other people are doing these types of things. There are going to be these ancillary solutions that you could be tapped into, but you're never going to know unless you have a line of communication with your customer.
And this is a perfect way to set it up. If you've got this whole service thing going on, whether it's something that they are, tapping into on a regular basis or not, ideally there should be some kind of, this continuous kind of check-in and conversation going on. Because, again, you don't want to be in a situation where you've got a customer that you sell something to and you don't, for some reason or other, you just don't even speak to him again for another year. Believe it or not, a lot can happen in a year. A whole lot can happen.
Absolutely.
And the next time you call them up and say, hey, let's talk about what's going on, they might be like, yeah, we had this whole massive thing that happened. Our entire business has been changed, and we decided to start focusing on a new kind of technology. And this other company was actually over there, waiting for us and talking to us about it. So, we're kind of there with them at this point. Yeah. Again, that kind of stuff, it can happen regardless. But if you are in regular conversation, if you're regularly reaching out, if you're regularly checking in, like, hey, what's going on right now? Do you need a refresh on media? How are your supplies looking right now? Where do things stand? Is there anything that needs repairs? Let's check in a little bit. If you're having that regular check-in going on, then again, you're on top of those things so that when they start thinking about, hey, you know what? We're actually thinking about changing up a little bit of what we're doing in our business. We want to focus on cloud solutions now. We've been talking about it for a couple months. You don't want to be the person finding out about that after the fact. You want to be finding out about it in the moment. It's that simple. And again, this idea of if you're a full solution provider, meaning you're helping out with everything, you should be the person that they're always reaching out to and always looping in on these conversations about what's happening in their IT sphere.
That's exactly right. And I would take it another level. You should be able to dive into a little bit of the analytics of your business to figure out who some of the most ripe folks in your customer base are. Maybe it's not going to be the perfect fit for everybody. Maybe somebody bought a printer from you and they're like Andy. They only use it a couple hundred times, in a year, as opposed to a heavier user. And there, obviously, you're going to want to spend more of your time and resources and energy trying to figure that out.
Figure out what businesses are growing, which ones are in a particular market that you know is going to continue growing.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Andy, I will say one last thing here about just because it strikes me as entertaining, spare in the air. I love this term because it makes me think of something that you guys got to make sure if this ever comes to a thing that you jump on this branding. It reminds me of remember when Amazon was doing the whole thing about the floating warehouses,
right. Mm-hmm.
Like having a warehouse in the air,
Yeah,
that,
blimp.
that you could just bring, have a drone bring your stuff down. That's what I think of when I hear spare in the air. Like you just got this floating Epson warehouse filled with spares, and if somebody needs it, the drone grabs it and brings it right down out of the air to you. There's my branding suggestion for you guys if it ever comes to fruition.
It nearly works out that way though, and people love that because they call in as long as they get in, before the dispatch time of the day. Obviously, if they call at 7:00 at night on, whatever, but next thing you know, there's a new printer there next day. So problem solved. Probably almost any business could kind of hold their breath for a day. I mean, okay, we'll build it up, we'll put it aside, and then we'll get it done in the morning. You get down 2 days now, life's starting to become really tough, right? I ran out of space and things like that. So it's really popular offering for us.
Yeah, there you go. That's that whole on-demand next day kind of thing. And when you have that, when you have that in your pocket and you can offer that, there's everybody should be impressed by that.
Well, that's exactly right. But again, this is the part of you're helping the customer navigate, right? You understand that you're going to live through it a couple times. You understand the program and how it can work into now your business.
Yep.
That's exactly the way we used to do it as a reseller. We would get comfortable with these warranty programs, apply services that we could, bundle them up, come up with packages that you could then sell along the way and at a reasonable price that answers these business needs in a professional manner.
Yep.
And it really kind of sells itself. But you have to get into it, right? You have to break the inertia of not wanting to get in. It still surprises us.
Yeah, it does.
How many people just don't, or the amount of money they can make on consumables. They're walking away from the consumables. Like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah. Anyway.
I have a funny anecdote, from earlier in my career was global manager, and in one market, our products really were not, it was kind of priced higher, and it was slower, and it was this and that, and basically it was like, I got frustrated a little bit. I said, well, then why does anybody buy our products here? And they go, oh, the service is so awesome. Basically, our service team, the service offering, service everything was so superior to the competition that even though our product was maybe not, competitive, the fact that we were taking great care of the customers meant the whole world. And that's just a powerful statement as to how important the service part is to the industrial space.
That's exactly it. It's a good one.
That's a good story.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, this has been a great conversation about services and upselling. Hopefully you kind of got some good tips here. We have one more little bit we'll talk about in a moment at BlueStar and how we fit into the services picture.
Yes, there you go.
But before we do that, I want to, as always, thank our TEConnect sponsors of our program and the podcast, of which Epson, of course, is one. That's why we got Andy here today. Thank you so much for supporting the show. As always, if you like the show, please leave us a 5-star rating review on Apple. Leave us a review on Spotify. Like the YouTube podcast. Subscribe. Smash that subscribe button for our channel. And please, reach out to us too. If you've got ideas for the show, there's always a link in the show notes where you can drop in an idea for us. We'll send you a TEConnect podcast t-shirt just for submitting one. And of course, always, if you want to reach out to us to tell us what you think of the show, give us some feedback, give us some ideas, or just see what we're up to, you can find us on Twitter at TEConnectPod. You can also email us, TEConnect@BlueStarInc.com. All right, hey, let's wrap up as always. First with the value to the VAR.
Mm-hmm.
This is where we, kind of wrap up our conversation a little bit, give a little bit of a takeaway. And this time we're going to talk a little bit about BlueStar.
Okay.
Andy, hope you don't mind. We're going to chat a little bit about our services here. So let's talk about BlueStar services.
Okay.
We offer some services out there as well to help our VARs become a trusted partner, again, build their solution portfolio.
Yes.
Dean, tell us about some of those services.
Well, first thing they should do is go back and listen to episode 51.
Oh, you even got the number pulled out. Nice.
When we had Alex Bowles on, and he talked a little bit about our value-added services. I mean, they're numerous, and God love him, that team has a really hard time saying no to anything.
They do.
So the services can be vast, but some of them are very traditional in the sense of helping out with configuration, right? Maybe it's a input-output configuration. We've done it a lot, especially on printer lines and things of that nature, or maybe we have the unit, but it needs a different I/O in it. We can do that. We can help configure mobile computing units, whatever it is, we can help with those types of things. Software loads, we do an awful lot of software loads. Kitting, the types of things, bundling things together, unboxing them, and then kitting them together into a holistic solution that is then shipped out to the customer. Those are big things as well. But it doesn't just stop with the actual, computer components, if you will, going through our config center. We can also help with things such as installation and as other services. Now, this is not in competition to the resellers. Believe you me, we are not out there selling these products. These are an enhancement or an augmentation to the reseller. So the use case would be you're a reseller, you win that big deal that you've been waiting for a long time, whereas but suddenly now you have to do an installation across the nation, right, or whatever. Your service techs only do the 50 miles around your facility. Call BlueStar. We can help you. We've got national networks of installation partners from anything from digital signage to mobile computers to printers. It doesn't matter what it is. We can help tap you into that so it amplifies your ability. Now you can service maybe that nationwide customer that you're like, oh man, we're just too small of a dog to go after those guys. Go after them because we can help you do that with those types of things. Need help site surveying that, right? Oh, we're landing the deal, but as a part of the deal, we have to do all these site surveys. How am I going to send my employees across the nation? Right. Don't worry about it. We got it. We can tap you into that as well. So these are there's a variety of professional services that we can bring to the table as well to help you out. Finally, I know a lot of our customers are in the payments world. Key injection, we're one of the only KIFs here in the nation that can help. We have that ability to do either on-site or remote key injections for anything that's doing payment processing. So we can help folks out there as well. So lots of services, right?
As we always say, no VARs an island.
No VARs an island. That's right.
You have a partner. You can start with us, and we'll connect you to vendors like Epson and whatever their solutions are.
Well, so that's
software
a really good
partners.
point.
Everybody, like we've got. We'll help you make those connections.
Yeah, and if you need more help navigating, we have Epson, folks on staff. We've got our own BDMs. They can tap you into the Epson ecosystem in this regard. Help you navigate the warranty programs and the services programs. Exactly. How can you line those up to better equip yourself so that you go in and make these when you make these pitches, it's a nice, neat package. So yes, we have those resources as well.
And here's the thing also, we won't take any of the credit.
We won't.
So you get to go still seem like you're the brilliant partner that just knows how to get everything done.
We make you look good.
And we're happy to just operate behind the scenes and help you out with that. And we won't say like, hey, you need to tell them BlueStar did this. No. You can tell them you did it.
Yep.
And, we'll be over your shoulder helping out.
Absolutely. We've negotiated the prices so you can still make money on these things and not be wildly out of the ballpark and servicing your customers. Yeah, it's a win-win.
There you go. All right, well, hey, let's wrap up as always with our favorite segment, What's TEConnecting with You? This is where we get to talk about one or two technologies, innovations, science, news stories, business, stuff that's happening that's got our eye, caught our attention. Andy, I'll let you start here. What's TEConnecting with you right now?
So this will be an interesting slant here, which is I'm going to say RFID. Okay. And you say, well, no, Andy, come on. This is the new stuff, right? RFID's been around for a long time, right? And what's interesting, the reason why it's catching my attention is, of course, in a prior company, I was deeply involved with monochrome printers and RFID and all this kind of stuff. But there's an interesting life cycle of new innovation, which is something comes out and there's a lot of buzz about what it could do, but it's maybe ahead of where the technology is really at. And then it goes through like a lull phase where people go, yeah, I think that was a dud, or it sort of drips along, but actually it matures in the background. The problems get solved, things happen, cost points get wrecked, and suddenly it has its new emergence, right? As actually now it is coming out, right? And I think that it's interesting. It's been a long journey, but I see that RFID, I think, is now coming out really for the mainstream. And I think it's going to be the new old thing, if you will.
The new old thing. That's exactly right.
We always like to joke about, is it RFID here yet?
Yeah.
But I think we've come to establish in some of our conversations more recently, like, look, it's not about RFID just taking over everything. It's about understanding how RFID fits into
Yes.
the overall ADC
Yes.
picture.
Yes.
So
And it's a part of an overall solution,
Exactly.
right? And it's
Right.
usually hand in hand with ADC, traditional
Yep.
ADC. But that's a good one, Andy. Yes,
I like
the new old, if you will.
So what's interesting, to add to that real quick is that I think that, again, it was like the barcode was going to get rid of human readable, or now RFID is going to get rid of barcode, or is that going to get rid of color? The thing is, I think it's going to be with labeling, it's going to be an all of the above strategy. They're still going to need human readable. They'll still need a barcode. They'll still need, it's just like we just need more of more. And it's going to be not a replacement for, but just an addition to.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah, that's
all
it.
part of one big solution. Yeah.
No doubt about it.
All right. What's TEConnecting with you?
All right, so I like audio, right?
Yeah.
Whatever.
A bit of an audiophile. Yeah.
Yeah. Here's the headline. MIT engineers have developed a paper-thin loudspeaker that can turn any surface into an active audio source. So
Interesting.
if you look at the picture on this bad boy, it is paper thin, right? Now it's made out of plastics, and the way that they do it, is pretty high tech. There's vacuuming involved, of course. We're talking MIT, right?
Well,
so
yeah,
you
of
have
course.
these,
Yeah, it's high tech, yeah.
composite materials and the use of vacuum so that they're creating whatever a type of a thing. But this thing's pretty cool. It is literally paper thin. It creates the process creates these little domes that are on this piece of paper. If you can imagine a piece of paper that has all these little domes on it that are very, very shallow. Through this thing, and they run obviously electrical current through it. Not a lot though of current needed. It turns it into an audio source. So,
Nice.
but what's cool about it is you can kind of put it anywhere, right? You can kind of turn walls or turn whatever into an audio source. So it might be that gone are the days of speakers, right? These old antiquated speaker things.
Yeah.
They just got this paper thin material that you can, now I can see use cases in museums or, things of that nature where they really try to disguise where the audio source is coming from and stuff like that. But I wouldn't be surprised if you're sitting at home and you're not going to see your 5.1 speaker system anymore. It's just going to be on your wall. And it'll produce the sound.
I
Now,
can't wait to see like a DJ show up like
There
at a
you go.
club and be
Yes.
like, where's your gear? And just throws a piece of paper onto the table, like
that's it.
and turns on their iPad,
Yeah,
their
yeah,
iPod,
yeah. Now I am curious to hear the fidelity because when you watch the video on it, it's okay. But look, everybody now loves the bass end, right? You got to have the subwoofer. It takes a certain amount. You got to move air to make that happen. So
what
I
if
don't
you
know.
like maybe if you fill like a whole room or something, just panel all the walls and everything.
And then if you could step on it, I guess you can step on this stuff. I don't know. If you just made the whole room like an acoustic thing, that would be kind of cool. So anyway, I am intrigued by what MIT is bringing to the table in a paper thin loudspeaker.
For some reason, it makes me think of like the James Horner scores from the movies, the wong, kind of. I don't know why. I feel like that resonating through some paper would just.
But that would be kind of cool at your home, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
I could dig that. So,
And
my wife is not a fan
about to go there.
of the speakers.
Yes.
She doesn't want me to get a bunch of speakers.
Like the speakers. Yeah.
So like I'm always trying to figure out I've got like one like Sonos speaker that I'm using as kind of my amplified speaker for the TV, and it sounds great.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things I'm like, I know this could sound better,
So much better.
But it's one of those things like I can't go out and buy the whole speaker system because she's gonna be like, this does not look good in our house.
Oh, then maybe you got hope. How can you watch Star Wars without phenomenal sound systems?
I just crank it up.
Okay, yeah.
Or sometimes just put the AirPods in.
That's so funny that
my
you went
AirPods
there.
sound better than that. Yeah. So.
Yeah, most women don't for whatever reason. I get it; it's unsightly, but I'm a product of the '80s and '90s.
Right.
I love the stacks, the speakers.
You're like Marty McFly.
Oh,
Back to the
Andy's
Future.
with me here.
Yep,
I like
yep.
seeing the tweeters and the woofers and stuff like that. I want to see the cone moving. Yeah.
You want to like feel the force of the music in your face.
So I don't know that this paper thin loudspeaker is gonna. That's why I'm still questioning it.
Don't be so hesitant to think so, because remember, you say, "Oh, I've got my giant subwoofer," and you go, "Well, it's 12 inch or it's 16 inch. That's only like so big." But I could have a 4 foot by 4 foot panel potentially that could have unimaginable power. Right?
Really good point. That's why I'm intrigued. I don't know. I don't even know what this thing costs. They didn't talk about cost, of course.
not.
Yeah, it's MIT for crying out loud. If you are asking about cost, you can't afford it. Oh, okay. So I'll wait until it comes.
MIT doesn't think about cost either. It's like, whatever, we got the funding, let's do it. Yeah.
So what's TEConnecting with you?
All right, on the same music path, we need to have a little moment of silence maybe for the iPod. I don't know if you heard, Apple is officially going to stop production on the iPod.
Get out of town.
They've
the
stopped
thing that
production.
revolutionized the world.
All they were still making at this point was the iPod Touch, but they've officially sunsetted the line. Basically, while supplies last, you can still potentially buy them. Like, I'm almost tempted to buy one just for
put it on the shelf.
Here's the funny thing, though. I've never owned an iPod. Like when they first came out in early 2000s, like I was working a retail job, I didn't have the kind of money to afford it. Like I remember at one point buying a
MP3 player,
like a little like Sanso MP3 player, this tiny little thing that like I could fit like a couple hundred songs on. That was good.
And it lasted a few months.
Yeah, that was fine enough for me. I never ended up actually getting an iPod. And then obviously the whole point of why they're going away is because once smartphones became ubiquitous and they all have their own pre-installed music apps on them, and can store plenty of music. There just wasn't a need really anymore.
Yeah.
In fact, the iPod Touch, honestly, mostly for the last few years, had been kind of mostly marketed and positioned as like something for kids. Like, to give a kid that you don't want to give a smartphone to yet, but you can give them that so they can have their music, and have a gadget that's, similar to a smartphone, but not actually give them a smartphone yet. So
how old are we? I mean, now I can say I've lived through, a whole technology trend, something that didn't exist, and then there was all of a sudden this player, and then it's sunsetted within
I was
15
walking
years.
around with a Discman for quite some time. I mean, I'm sure I had a Walkman before
When
that
did the
too,
first one come out again?
2001.
2001.
And they've gone through variations like the Mini. Actually, I didn't own a Mini, but I bought one for my wife once, like for working out. And
that
it was
had the
just
little
okay.
dial on
Yeah,
it
it was a
kind of
really
thing.
tiny little thing,
Yeah, I remember that.
The Shuffle, the Nano, and then now they've had the Touch. I think they may have had some other options
Gosh,
too.
the Touch has been around for got to be 5 years or so.
I'd say
Seems
so.
a
Like
long
2019 was the last version of the Touch that they offered.
Okay.
And it was still, $200. It's still kind of pricey. Again, like I said,
man, that's not cheap.
You could, but if you think about also like all the different devices that came and went. Remember the Zune?
Oh yeah.
The Microsoft Zune
yeah,
that kind of
sure,
came and
yeah.
went. That was supposed to be the big competitor. Didn't really happen. But,
Yeah.
so RIP to the
Right.
iPod.
Moment of silence.
Wow.
Okay, there you go.
All right, Andy Scherz, thank you so much for joining
Thanks,
us today.
Andy.
We appreciate it. And as always, hey, I want to tell everybody thanks so much for watching. And until next time, if you've got an iPod, maybe get it out, listen to probably some tracks from like 10 years ago you haven't listened to. Have a fond moment with
Listen
it.
to
Spin
Requiem
that.
in D minor.
I guess the old ones had the spinning wheel that touches don't even anymore.
Yes,
And maybe think about upgrading to your paper microphones or speakers. In the future.
Yes.
And until next time, as always, please, folks, stay connected. The TEConnect podcast is sponsored by Epson. I think after this pod, everyone should be convinced about the value of selling services.
Yes.
But let's talk some Epson hardware, too.
Well, they got hardware, you mean?
They do.
They got a lot of good stuff.
Specifically, the ColorWorks family of printers, which
Yes.
Andy called out a couple times during the episode.
Yes.
Which print color labels with dynamic content on demand.
Yep.
Look, color is a vital part of visual marketing, branding, conveying important safety and compliance information. But using third-party printer companies or pre-printed labels can lead to waste, additional costs, and other hassles. So tell your customers they're better off printing it themselves.
Absolutely.
ColorWorks printers are engineered for reliable color printing without head replacements or other workflow interruptions. They have wide connectivity options integrating with major middleware, Mac, Linux, Windows, SAP, and CPL2. Let's talk some case studies here, Dean.
Yes.
Grocery,
Yes.
prepackaged foods, deli bakery.
All over the place.
You can get that nice branding on it. You can have like your own
100%.
clean,
Yes.
green branding for food if you wanted.
Yes. Got to be in color.
Exactly. Retail, dynamic product labels,
Yep.
product ID tags, box labeling,
Yes. Good.
manufacturing for those chemical drum labeling. That's very
Yes.
important. You got to have all that compliance info.
Oh, and coloring's big there.
And by the way, ColorWorks printers are certified for high level durability, which you need when labeling any kind of stuff like that.
Even better.
You got to make sure it holds up to any kind of environmental standards.
Yes, sir.
Hospitals.
Yes.
For medical cards.
Big one.
So many more uses for the ColorWorks printer. To learn more about ColorWorks printers and select from various sizes, print speeds, and options, check out the link in the show notes or contact your BlueStar Epson representative. Oh, and by the way, to learn more about the benefits of color label printing, check out our first podcast with Andy from last year, episode number 68. We dive all into the world of color labeling. And
Colors
why it's
everywhere.
important.
Yes. All resellers should be selling color at this point.
Exactly. So Epson ColorWorks printers, we're happy to sell them to you.